Hey YouTube family, how are you guys doing? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to setup day. So I decided to keep this thing, but now we have to set it up and make it as good as it can be. Because the factory setup is questionable at best. So today we're going to separate the neck from the body. We're going to check out the bridge, tailpiece, see if it's better than what you'd find on like a West Creek, for example. We got to tighten this knob, it's all loose, and I'll show you what's inside of those covers on the back. We'll check out the switch. I'm assuming it's a real one and not just a box switch, but we'll see. I'll pull off one of these tuners and see what they're like, see what the ratio is. These are not smooth. They're smooth in some areas and then they get stiff and then they get smooth again and then they're stiff and then so I don't know, I don't like them. And then we're going to have to check the frets, see if they're level. I'm hoping they are. I mean, where is the money in something like this? Is it in the body style, the fact that these EVH guitars are patented? Maybe there's a cost associated with that. It's not in the roasted maple neck. I have West Creeks and M-Uzis that have roasted maple necks that are every bit as nice and as good as these. So hopefully the frets are, perfect as far as levelness goes. They're not perfect as far as polishing goes, but that can be fixed. Let's get right into it. Let's start with taking these strings off and having a closer look at the hardware. Factory strings have colored ball ends, so I'm assuming some kind of D'Addario or overseas D'Addario maybe. All right, there's a number on the back of this, 091135000. Not much weight to it. There's quite a bit of play in these posts. You can hear it. And there's lots of play in this. So it's not like the hardware is better than anything that would be on a budget guitar. On this, there's nothing, no print, no anything. This is a typical T.O.M bridge that would be on a West Creek guitar. I took mine off because I replaced it with a roller bridge, but there's nothing wrong with this one. I stole a C-clip off one of these to fix a friend's guitar, so this one's kind of moving loose. There's a C-clip in here, and you have to pop that off. But they're really hard to get off because they're so small, and sometimes you just end up snapping them in half. Oh, look at these two bridges. They're pretty much identical, except 3 saddles are pointing one direction, and then the other 3 are pointing the other one, whereas on this one, all saddles are pointing in the same direction. So, and these have just a little C-clip in there as well. So nothing spectacular about the hardware. This I'm going to snug up with some tape. Take these volume knobs off. Just go slowly with those or you'll break them. Go. See, this one's all loose. See how it's moving back and forth? So I got to tighten this. I got that toothpick just in the tuner. And see it moving there. And I have the tuner pointing up. Every time this arm is facing up, that'll be one full turn of the tuning head. And then we'll see how many turns of the head it takes to get one turn of the post. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 to 1 tuning gears. See, so this is the same quality as what you'd find on a West Creek. West Creek is typically 15, 14 to 1. The same type of components that people complain about on budget guitars are on these brand name guitars, and you're paying 3 times the price for it. Like, what are you getting for your extra cash? Take one of these tuning heads off. Oh man, it's covered in, see, it's covered in sawdust, man. Like all inside. So again, it's not like they take extra time and extra pride to clean out all these holes to make sure that all the components stay clean. And we have a little bit of play in the tuner post. See that? Just a little bit. I've seen some a lot worse, but the Music Lily stuff, for example, is a lot better. So I guess this is just a typical Fender, 2-pin tuner. So I'm going to try and maybe find some upgraded ones. But for now, I'll use these. But I'm going to put a little bit of oil inside here and see if I can't lubricate the gear in here. So these are all sealed. There's no hole to inject any oil in there. So I'm just going to drop a little bit of bicycle chain lube. And this is like really high-end chain lube from when I used to do a lot of mountain biking. I'm just going to drop a drop of it in there. And right, let it make its way in there. I will do that with all of them. And then I will come back to you. Man, there's so much crap. So much sawdust and polishing compound dust inside these holes. It's all over these tuners. Right, when they push them in, that stuff falls inside here where the gears are. Can't be good. Clean these tuner holes out before I put them back in there. I'm an idiot. But I knew exactly what I was getting into when I bought this. So you know what? I'm going to keep it. But it's not because it's better than any of my other ones. Let me just clean this headstock. Just give you a visual. So I haven't seen a whole lot of videos on these EVH Wolfgang Standards where people do a deep dive. And it's almost like because it says EVH, you don't have to do a deep dive because you know that they're good. Well, I'm here to tell you that, sure, they're good. They're no better than your $250, West Creek Kellys or budget guitars that you buy. The only cool thing about this is that it says Wolfgang on it, it says EVH on it, and the body is unique because companies can't reproduce this body legally. Look at all this stuff. Your extra money is not going into them putting better components on and doing a better prepping job prior to installing those components. I'm going to take this neck off. $1,000 gives you properly drilled body holes. This is what they're using. And again, lots of mess. These are all ridged. I don't know if you can see that. So it almost looks like they're designed to be pressed into the opening here. But they're the holes are drilled a little bit too big. They're just in there. They're not tight. See? I can just pop them right out. And these really hurt the paint. Like they're digging right in when they're compressed. All right, let's see how well this neck fits in this pocket. Oh, pretty nice. It's pretty tight. Let's have a look to see if there's a shim in there. So it's really tight in there. It's good. All right, so they got a bunch of shims in there. Oh, let me show you. Wow, what the heck is this? This is weird. All right, so they got a hole here, and here, and here, and then they have an extra one. I don't know what that hole's for. Just a random hole. Doesn't look like anything's been threaded through it. Maybe it's a hole that they use to hang the neck in the oven when they roast this. Or, I don't know. If you guys know, you can post in the comment. Why is there a fifth hole back here? And the neck pocket is a little bit rough. And there's a lip from the paint, but we'll file that down. And yeah, there's 3 shims in there. And they're kind of overlapped. 1, 2, and 3. See that? 2 outer ones are overlapping the middle one, so it's not a nice even shim. So I might try and put a better looking shim in there. I don't really like that. Oh, this cover came off easily, unlike Mike's cover on his Leo James guitar that he bought. Alright, so would you look at that? Just a big box switch. Huh. But it's all shielded in there. They have kind of silver foil shielding tape. I was expecting to see like a real Gibson style toggle switch. Again, cheap, man. Cheap components. And they didn't do a great job of sticking that tape to the cavity. It's all lifted. Not the cleanest wiring job either. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed actually. I thought there would be like a high-end switch in there. Oh, what do you expect for a $1,000 guitar, right? Right, put this back. And we'll take this cover off. There better not be tiny little pots in here. There we go. No, we're good. Alright, we have... Okay, so there's shielding tape on the bottom. Again, it's just there, but it's not like taped to the floor. It's kind of all lifted off. The ground wire is just screwed into a little piece of shielding tape. A while back, I did some work to a friend of mine's EVH. It had the trem on it, and she couldn't keep it in tune. It was just very poorly set up from factory, and she assumed because she paid, $1,200 for it, that it was, perfect, and it was far from. And hers was the same way. It was grounded over here, and hers was making a lot of noise. So I'm going to snip this wire, and I'm going to solder this ground to the back of the pot where the other grounds are. And I don't know if you can see this, but look at the solder joints on the pot. See how it's like a little ball? It's like a little ball of solder just sitting on the top of the pot. So it's not flattened or spread out. That's a really bad solder joint. I don't like that at all. I'm going to fix all that. And tiny little plastic wire. So again, you're not getting insulated cloth wire pickups. You're not getting insulated cloth wire connections to the jack. You're not getting a super clean cavity. This route is nice though. And I like that they countersink their covers so they're flat to the body. But again, for $1,000, I have yet to see where that money is going. Looks like they have a bright cap or a tone bleed or whatever you want to call it on the volume pot, so that when you turn the volume down, you don't lose any of your highs. And then they just have a regular cap or not a green chiclet or anything. These solder connections suck. Right, so we're going to resolder all that stuff. Look, they had this little ground wire all balled up in a knot. What the heck? Look how long this is. Don't worry about me snipping this zip tie. I have more. Look how much wire they leave for this ground thing. So it almost looks like the ground for the bridge is soldered to the back of the pot. And then from the back of the pot, they go to the cavity. Right? They use this little screw thing here and they screwed it to the back of the cavity. But why? Why would you do that? Seems like just extra wiring in there for nothing. What's that doing? What's that grounding? A ground to a ground is just another ground. The pot is making contact with the shielding tape, right? The wires are grounded to the back of the pot. The shielding tape is connected with another piece of shielding tape all the way up to the top of the cover, and the cover has shielding tape. So this is not grounding anything extra. It's just, I don't know why that's there, but this is coming out. The least amount of crap I can have inside my guitar bodies, the better. I don't know if it'll show up, but shielding tape down here by the tone pot is all ripped, torn. See that? The sparkle that you're seeing is the paint. They painted the inside of the cavity. There we go. Now I got 4 shielding areas that will shield this cover. And it doesn't matter. 1 would have been enough. But just better flatten out these balls that were just sitting on top of these pots. So that is totally soldered in there. Now I got to tighten this volume pot. It is an 11. So I'll tighten this one while we're at it. Leave these knobs off. So when I polish the guitar, this cover back in there. Fits nicely. It's good. Alright, I don't like having rattly bridge parts on my guitars. Well, not changing any components right now, but I will look online to see what I can upgrade this bridge with. They are really glued in there. So, look at that. That is the shim that you will find in a $1,000 brand name guitar. It says 0.09, not quite 1.1. But that goes nicely in there. So let's go clean up the neck pocket and I'll be right back. There, we got a smooth neck pocket now. So I'm just going to take this shim. Just going to lightly glue it in place. Just this stuff. There, that's it, we're done. Let's go see how good this fret job is. Okay. We're rocking. Relieve the neck a bit. There we go. So we have 1 full fret, 3/4 of another one, half of this one, and a full fret down here. So, again, I say, what does $1,000 get you in a brand name instrument? Well, it doesn't get you level frets. So, we are going to level these.
Let's go!
You don't start at one side and go to the other and then come back across, and like you would if you were using just a straight beam like this, right? You would go to one end to the other and go across. This one, just stay in the middle, just go back and forth, and right, let the radius set the radius. To condition the fretboard, I just came across this last week. Howard Sunshield Wood Conditioner and UV Protectant. So if I play this guitar outside, the sun won't hurt it. This stuff really does an amazing job. You just dab it on and rub it in. I'm just going to go ahead and do the whole neck. This just brings it to life. Man, look at this thing. Okay, got the neck back on. There's nothing really hard to do there, but just remember that with this taper, these guitars have longer screws here at the bottom than they do at the top. I flipped this bridge around. I'm going to see if that gives me better intonation. And we're going to restring, set up, and then I'll come back to you. Alright guys, well, the EVH Wolfgang Standard T.O.M is done. Way too much work for a guitar at this price point. So I had to polish the body because it was super dusty. I flipped the bridge around and now look at the spacing in front and in behind those saddles. There's all kinds. So if you guys have one of these and you want to use the stock bridge, I would suggest flipping it around if the screws are pointing towards the fretboard. Pickups had to be adjusted. They were way too close to the strings. Had to take out one of those useless ground wires that was in there. I don't know why it was in there to begin with. The switch orientation had to be slightly changed. It was just kind of going this way, and I wanted it to go slightly up this way. So now it's good. String alignment had to be dealt with. It's good now. Just had to do a little sanding in the neck pocket. Neck through body holes were actually drilled at the proper size. So surprise, surprise. Frets, I needed a full fret level, especially from the 12th to the 22nd fret. Recrown, polish, and then there was 3 or 4 frets up here that had to do the same thing too. Nut had to be filed. Quite a bit actually. And as it sits right now, the strings are too deep in the slot, but I'll deal with that at another time. This is just a plastic nut on these. Again, $1,000 gets you a plastic nut when you're dealing with Fender branded instruments. That's crazy. And these tuners, they all had to be tightened, lubricated, and they are just fair. Actually, I'm looking for a set of locking tuners with the 2 pins on the back side, and hopefully I can find a set to replace these because they are subpar for a guitar at this price point. But as far as looks and weight and feel and playability, it's great. Action is super low, like really low. And I have 0 fret buzz. So the thing is dialed in. I have no relief in the neck. The neck is perfectly straight. So here's your G chord. Middle position. These frets are like glass, man. They polish nice. And here's neck. Super nice. Heavy gain. guitar, man. Absolutely not worth the price. Not even close. $3.99, this guitar would be a sweet deal, you know, with all the work involved in getting it set up. I haven't seen a single video of anyone playing these where they weren't, like, perfect. So, did they set them up prior to the video? Was this a sponsored video and they were sent this guitar directly from the workbench of the luthier that works in the store? You guys let me know what you think. Take care, God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.